Hi everyone. We will be shortly going live. Um, hey. Thank you, Stuti. So, let me tell a bit about what we've been doing till our guest joins us. So, this is Women Inspiring Network is a wonderful platform which has been initiated by Stuti Jalan and Shweta Punj, and they have come forward to tell stories of women across the gamut of India. And yeah, so we have our guest here. One sec, let me add a in. Hi, Rucha.
Hi, Aarti. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, thanks.
Okay. So, before we begin, I want to first just quickly tell all our viewers here who are joining us in this conversation. So, hi, I'm Aarti Bagdi. I'm a filmmaker as well as ambassador for Women Inspiring Network. Women Inspiring Network has been telling a lot of stories across, right from they did a webinar in April with some 50, 70 odd speakers, had a reach of 5 million viewers. Then in May, they had an entire Winning the Lockdown series where they actually did entire inspirational videos with every person, every woman from different aspects of life, especially to keep each other going. And now in June, we're doing this Forger, the Win Career series, which has the Forging Filmmaker Dream series that which I was asked to come on board and do this, and I couldn't think of anyone better than you to come as our honored guest and have this talk with us. So,
Thank you.
Forging Filmmaker Dreams is we have with us here today Rucha Pathak, who has given wings to so many dreams and has stood behind so many projects, championed so many wonderful projects. She was born in Wardha and raised in different multiple cities across India as well as a couple of cities abroad. And her journey in the last 2 decades did lead her to become the chief creative officer at 20th Century Fox, and now she's currently the producer at Excel Entertainment. Some of the acclaimed and critically wonderful films that, as well as commercially successful box office films that she has championed. Barfi, Anybody Can Dance, Pan Singh Tomar, Welcome to Sajjanpur. I think the list is endless. Yeah, Chiller Party, Dev Ji. The personal passion project was Harud, which went international. Then there's Neerja and Jolly LLB2 and Filori. I think I can just go on. Like all of them have won national awards, Filmfare Awards, International Film Festival Awards. So we have with us someone so beautiful and golden. And I think we need to make the most of this conversation. Rucha was very close to Sushant. And I think it's just, the irony has just been a week since Sushant has passed away, and it's such a loss to the fraternity. And he actually symbolizes everything that, right from that emerging talent and reaching this place that we actually want to talk on this Women Inspiring Network also. So I think Rucha has requested that we keep a minute silence before we begin this talk. So let's do that.
Thank you.
That was a moment of silence, a few moments of silence for Sushant. Thank you,
Thank you.
Rucha, for coming, and we're hoping to have a very enriching conversation with you here today. And so I'd like to jump right in because I have a lot of questions for you. So, starting off with, can you tell us, like, how has your journey been in terms of what kind of family were you raised in? What your upbringing, your values, all that. It'll be great to know how you before you entered the industry.
Yeah. So I was born in Wardha, which is in Maharashtra. My maternal grandparents were there, and that's also the place which has Mahatma Gandhi's Sevagram. Uh, uh, grandparents used to live in Ahmedabad, which is also home to Gandhiji's ashram. So I think I'm glad to say that I have those two kind of Mahatma Gandhi's principles kind of uh,
Yeah, it must be
bookending
in your
my
DNA.
maternal and paternal. Yeah, so I try and visit as often as I can. They're really peaceful places. But no, my parents love traveling. They traveled a lot. So I grew up in Kathmandu, in Nigeria, in well, my education was mainly then in a boarding school, in a lovely boarding school in Uti, because my parents used to live abroad. They sent me to Uti, where I got a lovely education at this school called the Blue Mountain School. It's a boarding school, and then from there I went to Sardar Patel Vidyalaya and LSR in Delhi, and then after that I came to Bombay, really. So that's been majorly where I've been growing up. And so it's mainly been in India, although my introduction to movies itself was more as a viewer, first as an Indian living abroad, where you had VHS tapes, so you would watch all of the popular cinema that came out of India. So there was Mr. Natwar Lal, and all the Amitabh Bachchan movies and all the Manmohan Desai movies. And then there were also the English films like Sound of Music, Every Christmas, and films like Hatari and all of those that were
Yeah,
all on VHS, all
yeah,
on
that
VHS.
was my summer
So
holiday film too, Hatari.
yeah, so but purely as a viewer, it's only much later that I started really getting impacted by movies. So films like Garam Hawa, Bazaar. I think one film that really impacted me a lot was also Ordinary People, Robert Redford's Ordinary People that he directed. Um, but again, they were all as viewers. I never thought that I would have a career in films for quite a long time, actually.
Hmm.
Um,
So, did you
till
study films? Did you also study films, like in your college or something like that?
No, so I was at Sophia, which was social communications media, which is a really good course.
Of
And then
course.
when I was there, it was a course for women. It was a post-grad diploma. It has a great, it had a great HOD. Jarul Mullah was our HOD, and we had some really wonderful teachers there. So that's where I really studied history of cinema and everything, and that's where I really got exposed to a lot of different world
Yeah.
cinema, starting from Birth of a Nation.
Right.
Uh, so in fact, I have to say this, but I was watching this really amazing episode called Dear on Apple TV, where Spike Lee spoke that he saw Birth of a Nation, but when he saw Birth of a Nation, they did not speak about the impact that Ku Klux Klan had on say the African Americans. You watched it from a completely different point of view. So now when you visit that film again, you kind of realize the impact it would have on,
Uh,
say, black filmmakers or African Americans, especially with what's going on in the
and
US right now.
yeah,
So sorry, that was just a segue
yeah, yeah.
about films. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but it's interesting how viewpoints keep changing and evolving. Like what a film that you would have seen at a particular age, now when you see it, it really actually you see it in different ways and in different political atmospheres, different social atmospheres. Yeah, that does
Yeah,
happen. True, true.
yeah. Which is why I
So
think Garam Hawa still, holds true till
yeah,
today.
yeah, yeah. So true. Some of them are
Yeah,
eternally classic.
yeah,
So it's interesting how from completely mainstream cinema you actually also got an like actually majorly influenced. I think your love of cinema possibly emerged from these kind of films. Otherwise, it was just an entertainment medium for you. So in terms of the the career that you chose, was it like filmmaking or got into it? Was there like, did you have to negotiate with your parents, because it's not easy for a girl to get into film, into this field, girl, boy, anyone, right?
yeah.
So because it's one of the most unstable careers one can actually expect it to be, especially for an outsider and stuff like that. So how was it? Did it accidentally happen, or they were okay with it, and what was it?
Well, so I didn't start off in films first. I started in television. When I first came to Bombay, I really wanted to come to Bombay because Bombay seemed like the mecca for single women, because it was easier to travel and there was great transport and commuting, and it was safer for women. It was, at least it felt like that in those days. So I always wanted to come to Bombay, and I always wanted to, be financially independent. I think the first thing that really came to my mind was financial independence, and basically have a career. I still didn't know what I was going to do. I mean, I wanted to be a writer, but when I came to Sophia's, I realized that I'm not really a writer. But at Sophia's is where I really discovered that video was something that I was really good at. So at one level I was a little sad that I thought I was like the world's best writer, and that didn't really work out. But I had special affinity for video, and that really showed up, like came up in Sophia. So I joined. I interned with Ram Madhwani at Equinox when I first got out of college. But my first paying job was at Plus Channel.
Ah,
Uh, big shout out to Amit Khanna, who gave a young girl out of nowhere her first job. And so my parents thought that I had run away from Delhi to become a model or something like that. They had no clue that that you can have a career behind the camera.
right.
And I think one day they saw me interviewing. They saw me doing an interview on television, and they called up and they said, "Oh, that's what you're doing. That's what you've been talking about." So I was like, "Yeah." So they didn't realize that there could be a career behind the camera, because I think every parent in
Yeah,
those days wanted their kids to be like either an engineer or a doctor or an MBA. MBA was the
the thing
new
that
thing
time.
back in, yeah.
Yeah.
So I started off as a reporter. I was mentored by two amazing women in Plus Channel, Aparajita Krishna and Usha Dikshit, both really good writers, and just really good mentors to have. So I was working a lot with them, and then even though I was directing non-fiction stuff, um, I realized then that I really enjoyed producing more. So I then joined in-house productions to executive produce a few shows. One of them was Harmony, which is like India's first unplugged or first Coke studio, where
Oh,
we had a lot of where for the first time you actually had singers sing in front of camera. So before that it was all about playback singing, so you never really saw the singers. So
right.
we had Amit Kumar sing Kishore Kumar songs. We had Jaspinder Narula, who was like a rising singer at that time. We had
Right.
Sukhvinder Singh, and all these amazing singers that people hadn't like really seen singing in front of camera. We did that show. So But then I went to Toronto to study production and media.
Oh,
And
nice.
then yeah, and then when I came back, is when I really got interested in doing films, producing films. So I worked with my first film gig was with British Nandi Communications.
Oh, okay.
Uh, and that was one place that was giving a break to first time filmmakers. It was in fact, I
Yeah.
think, possibly the only
Yeah.
production company that was doing that. So I really learned a lot there, worked with a lot of first time directors there, everybody from Leena Yadav to Saket Chaudhary, Onir, Sujoy Ghosh. So that was I think that kind of set the base for me,
Mm.
that was getting to work to executive produce films for first time directors who were working with scripts, and who were more organized in that
Mm.
sense.
Mm.
So I think at one level I got lucky that I found myself at a production company that believed in scripts. And then, because then when I went to UTV and we started the Spot Boy brand over there, where we were trying to bring the focus back to the script and not the star really, and we were hoping
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's what that really helped.
Mm.
Um, you know,
Yeah.
um,
That learning curve must have actually paid off for you in Spot Boy to actually, I guess.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Nice.
Um, so that's how I started really in film. I did not plan being in feature films, at least when I was starting out. I just enjoyed being in a situation where I could tell good stories. So I've
Yeah.
just turned that into doing what I do. Thanks.
Nice. Wonderful. Yeah, we all are suckers for good stories. Yeah. So anyway, so coming down to the next thing that I want to ask you is, of course, so this is great to know that you started off at KNC, then the whole, UTV spot. What was the brand you said? Spot.
UTV Spot Boy.
Yeah, Spot Boy brand. So there's been the kind of films that you have backed. Like, of course, everything has come with experience, and so it's almost an enviable track record, especially from Spot Boy. You have identified that this is the content you want to back. So for so many filmmakers who are out there who are still struggling, who are still trying to find their voice, so for them, this will be a great insight to know what is that thing that you keep as a checklist. That these are things that I possibly look for in a good story or in a good project to make sure I put my energies in that.
Well, I don't think there's a checklist, honestly speaking. But it's important that you should know what you want to say, and how you want to say it. There was definitely no checklist when I heard when we were developing Pan Singh Tomar, and when Tishu and Sanjay Chauhan came and narrated this script. There was no checklist. I just felt that when I heard the script, that oh my god, this is like a really well told story, and they've written it so well. So the idea is that anybody out there who has a good story to tell and has a good way of telling it, a director whose creative vision I feel like backing, or anybody who heard it would feel like backing. I really felt that, come hell or high water, when I heard the Pan Singh Tobar story, we backed it, we made it, we wanted to make it, in spite of the fact that we got, there was a recession in the middle, and then we had a tough time getting it out because it was just not a film that people understood in the beginning,
Yeah,
because it was just a different kind of
yeah, it
film.
was breaking new ground actually.
Yeah, so I think that is the most important thing, that you can tell a story in a different kind of a way, and not the same old way that people are possibly saying it, which is what I mean, which is the good thing about first time filmmakers, or first time directors, or first time writers, because they're actually so hungry to tell a story that's possibly really close to them. I mean, that's how the first time filmmakers really, you know, broke ground and really made an impact, because they were just trying to tell their own stories. And I think that's what really attracted me to all the material that was coming to us.
Hmm.
um,
That's
yeah.
nice.
So I
So,
think the most important thing is what story you want to tell and how you're telling it and how it can be different. Why should you be telling that story? Why should people listen to you?
correct.
And, you know, being able to get that across. Yeah.
Right. So, and in terms of like Pansing Tomar, the casting also, if you have to go to, at that time, Irfan was still like just up and coming, and he had probably a couple of films old. So, how did you identify? You know, these are also some things that, you know, struggling filmmakers are trying to think that, you know, okay, we have to get the A-lister cast and, you know, things like that. So, how does one go through this entire?
So, you know,
अच्छा आपका स्क्रीन है ना कट रहा है
oh,
थोड़ा
sorry, is it?
हाँ 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 yeah
Is it
thank
better?
you yeah much
Okay.
better
This is my first Insta live, whatchamacallit. So, yeah. I have to say that um, all the directors I worked with really, and there are three of those directors who really, uh, through thick and thin, they just saw Irfan in the parts that he was playing. So Anurag Basu only saw Irfan in Metro. You
right
know, Nishikant Kamath in Mumbai Meri Jaan only saw Irfan, you know, playing that. He had no dialogues in the film, but he only saw Irfan emoting through his eyes. Tishu could it didn't matter who or what would have come his way, but he just felt Irfan was the only guy who could, you know, only actor who could play that. And then when you see that kind of conviction from a director, and then you know that they can pull it off, and you have a good script, you just, I mean, it's natural that a producer would back them. So even though Irfan uh, 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 I mean, hurt his ankle, we waited for him. Even though he was doing international films during Metro, we waited for him. The same thing with Mumbai Merijan, we waited for him. So I think it's
hmm.
how well the script is written, and how you really need a really good actor to pull it off.
Correct
And I think we were lucky that we didn't have like a huge budget that, you know, we had to show that, you know, if it's a big budget, then we need a big star for it. I think that really helped us. So everybody took pay cuts and stuff like that, just to make sure that they could, you know, bring in films in a particular budget, so that you could cast somebody who was a really good actor,
wow
and not a big star at that time. I mean, he did
wow
become a big star.
later
Yeah, yeah. So,
but you were
yeah.
also so like you were working with directors like Anurag Basu also like you know in terms of they already had good films behind them and Barfi was I believe a huge project that you saw through like I've heard from within our fraternity that there was so much of energy that you had put in into Barfi to see it through so like you know when that kind of conviction for a producer to give to a director and make sure that he gets what he wants or you know that how do you know that this is what you want to do and like
So, you
but
know,
it could
the
have
funny,
fallen flat anytime you know
yeah, no, I'll tell you, the funny thing is that during Barfi, everybody felt that Anurag Basu was making like a really morose, sad film, because the protagonists in his film were differently abled. And you know, one of them was autistic, and the other one couldn't speak and hear. So everybody presumed that, okay, if these are the characters, then it's going to be like one sad film. I mean, people didn't understand that you know, that you can make a happy film with differently abled people also. It's not I mean, think beyond uh, you know,
so you saw that by then
yeah. And he had
ah,
like he had a short screenplay. I'm saying short because there were, you know, not too many dialogues in it, and that's how he and Ranveer worked so well together in Barfi. So I knew what was going on. It's just that because the others couldn't see what was going on, so they didn't know what was coming out of there. So somewhere as a, and I hate the word studio executive. I think studio, I mean, it's just like a much abused word or term, I feel. But I mean, I was a studio executive, and I just felt that this director has a vision, and this screenplay is like a really good screenplay. So I mean, I had to back it. And but I could see that there was something being built over there. And I think that's one of the jobs of a producer, is to be able to protect the creative vision of a script or the director. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Sometimes you can fall flat on your face, and sometimes it works. I have to. That's a caveat.
We're in the biggest gambling business ever, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, so coming to the next thing that I have for you is that so many awards have come for the films that you have won, like be it Filmfare, National, International Film Festival. But there must have been that one award, that first award, or that one award that you're really proud of, or even apart from an award, one moment in your life where you actually got a lot of self-belief from the work that you were doing. That I am on the right path. So if you could shed light on both these instances.
So I have to say that awards do not mean that you're on the right path, by the way. But I have to say that one thing that really one award, or actually a whole bunch of awards, I have to say, 2013 was a really special year because, or 2012 actually, when Irfan won National Award for Pan Singh Tomar. Yeah, and then Harud, the independent film that I was working on, that one best film in the same year. So that was like really special because I had like a studio film that was winning a national award, and I also had like an independent film where we had all put in money, gathered money, and put it in, and hadn't really recovered money from it yet, but that was winning awards. Then it was really special that Barfi won so many awards. So every time Ranveer and Priyanka won an award, like won a popular award, we all thought it was the film. I mean, the film also won lots of awards. And then there was a special moment where Barfi, where nobody was free to go to the Okinawa International Film Festival, where Barfi won the Grand Jury Prize. And Joel Schumacher, this really famous American Hollywood producer, gave away that award. I was the only one there to receive it, so that was like special in some way. And I think the other award that I mean, a lot of my films have gotten awards. A lot of films that I've worked on have gotten awards, but Neerja was really special, also because. When we first started making Neerja, everybody thought like, it's a woman-oriented film, and there were a lot of naysayers for that film. Again and again, I have to say that the director had an amazing vision, and I was really glad to be backing that vision. That is what you were asking about, the gut instinct. I think that was a gut instinct that I have had, that when I heard that idea, I just felt it was a really strong idea. Also because when I was in school and college, I had heard about Neerja Bhanot, and she was quite an inspiration because she was like one of the first female stewardess to work for an international airline, etc., etc. So getting awards for Neerja was also really special. And the other thing is that, through my career, everybody was always saying that, oh, you're only making festival films. You're only making festival films. You're not the kind of person who can make, like, say, a big film or hit film. So when Barfi did really well at the box office, I felt really good about that. So apart from the fact that we won lots of awards, I think it really felt good that it did well at the box office, because then the audience, you realize that the audience did want to see something different and did want to see something interesting. The same thing with Neerja and Papan Singh Tomar, and I think those were really good. Um, and I think the other big thing, big accomplishment, which is not like an award based thing, but was when Devdi got a 5-star review in Times of India. That was huge. You know, we had just come out of a special. It was, I think, the day that we had like a special screening, or it was a premiere of Devdi at Chandan Cinema, sadly Chandan Cinema, which is, going is getting renovated right now, and unfortunately shut because of the pandemic. But when we came out of that screening, we saw a 5-star review in Times of India, and that was huge. That was like really, really amazing, because it was just a different kind of a film that. So yeah, so I mean, awards are not the only accomplishments. Usually for producers, if the film does well at the box office, that's like the best accomplishment ever. Yeah, and that, they recover the money on it. So yeah.
No, but it's such a great balance you've arrived at. Like, there is stuff that you have backed which has done commercially successfully well as something for the heart, whatever you've done. So it's nice to be.
Yeah,
like
yeah. That is.
So, in terms of coming to, because we're on a Woman Inspiring Network platform, so I want to ask, so there is this whole thing which was actually talked about also so often, like, Indra Nooyi said that a woman can't have it all. So what is your take on it? What is your definition of having it all? Do you think that we really want to have it all?
Aarti, when are people going to stop asking women this question?
I have no
Have
idea.
you asked? I want to know if you ask a guy this question. Can you have it all? How can you ask? You come on. I think this question should be banned. Women should not be asked this question, or can you have it? Can you have it all?
Yeah, ठीक है. Chalo, we shall skip.
Actually, I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer to that. Really. But yeah, I know. I mean, we should stop asking women this question. It's just.
No, that is also such a great answer. That let's not peg ourselves on having it all. So yeah.
Exactly. And you should ask the guys that question. Yeah.
Okay. If I'm on a Men Inspiring Network platform, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so coming to, so you are in a self-motivated field, right? In terms of, there are no deadlines that you have to achieve. Things that you are actually driving because you are passionate about it, right? So in normal regular jobs, you have to, एक report बनाना है, करना है in a newspaper or something like that. Things are there. There's a certain system to it. Ours is a very unstructured system where basically जब project live होता है तभी काम हमारा चालू होता है. So but there is a lot of gap that happens between projects for people. So how do you stay motivated? What is that mantra that you live by as a producer, as a movie maker? So how does your day pan out?
There is no downtime really. There is, in the sense that there is no between projects anymore, because you are constantly developing while something is happening. Like, sure, while a film is being made, you're also developing other material. In fact, that's been one of the things that has happened in the industry over the last, say, I would say 5-6 years, where people have realized that developing is really important, and that you need to spend time in development and spend time in developing stories and scripts so that you can make a film in the future. So for people who are doing a job in a production company or in a studio or anything, there is no downtime really. There is no
Correct.
between projects. So you're constantly developing stuff. I'm constantly developing, juggling multiple films at the same time, whether they're in production or whether they're in development. Right now in development, of course. So I'm a
No, but
really
even for development, to stay motivated in development is a huge task in itself. You know, you might lose vision, there might perspective might go. So when I'm saying in between projects, so when you're executing, you have to do it. There's no choice. मतलब वो तो करना ही है. Things are, meter is down, सब चल रहा है. But when there is development happening, how do you decide that this is like, you know, there are five? Are you choosing that this is the energy I want to put in? Like, that's what I wanted to understand. And in terms of what do you seek in that day when you're working? Say, how do you decide that this much time I give for development, or you just that's the
I wish I could. I wish I was more structured and I could answer that question. How much time do I give? No, I don't. It's very difficult to say really. Like I mean, I don't know. Do right. It's almost 24/7 because you're thinking of stuff. Like when I'm in the shower, I'm thinking of stories, or I'm thinking about, you know, the feedback I have to give somebody. Um, there is, I mean, I'm really unstructured like that, so I don't have like a planned day at all. In fact, for me, this pandemic has been really, because I'm so used to uh, like, you know, having to go to work, like go to an office, meet people. Now I'm just like working from home and I'm meeting people on Zoom, and it can be at any time, you know, because suddenly you're not, there is no weekend anymore. It's almost like a new kind of a day that you're going through, because I also feel because of the pandemic, it's important to be talking more to people, so that people are not like, you know, feeling lonely or alone, and so I try and talk to I mean, my team that was at Fox Studios, I used to talk to them almost every day, and not just on the phone, but, you know, doing Zoom calls with them every day. So I think it's important to be talking a lot. So I think it's become less structured and more like jumbled up. But I think most of my time really is taken up with reading. Um, so I think that takes up the most time. Because you have to read. I mean, I try and read everything that I get. So um I don't know if I answered your question.
Actually, I
I
also
don't have a
want
planned
to,
day.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you no? I want to know what is it that strive, like what is, you know, we all seek external motivations. Like I do some yoga, I go on a trek, I, you know, before I get on to something that I want to work on, like I actually do a lot of extra activities to actually still work. You know, so do you have things like that that keep you inspired and motivated,
I
things?
love traveling.
uh,
I love traveling, and
but are
but
you able to take off like that?
I've had such a hectic time that I haven't been able to plan um, so many trips that I wanted to take, and I'm really regretting that I didn't do that in 2019. I should have traveled more. So I'm just waiting for this lockdown to get over so I can travel some more. But I love traveling. Yeah. And I like reading, but otherwise I enjoy my work. So I think sometimes that feels like, you know, my antidote to life. But yeah, yeah.
That's nice. Okay, so you know, so it's been such a long period of nearly 20 years, I think, for you in the industry. Yeah, so there must have been moments where you have wanted to give up, or was it like work was so hectic for you that that moment never came? Like, did that ever happen to you, that, you know, that just walk away, or some kind of a failure, something that where you
Every
actually
Friday. That's every Friday. Every Friday
okay,
your
that
film
strike rate is
releases.
huge.
Oh my God, every Friday your film releases or anybody's film releases and it doesn't do well, it's really disheartening. It's really
Oh.
disheartening. So because you've put in years of development, you've put in years of making the film, and if it gets rejected at the box office, or not rejected so much as if it doesn't recover its money at the box office, that's like really depressing. So I mean there was a time where I was telling people my life is changing every Friday, but luckily I have a great circle of colleagues. I have a great circle of friends. They really give me great insight in pulling me out of something like this. But it's in this business, it's a little tough uh, to. I mean, there are a lot of lows. There are also a lot of highs. But I think, I mean, I'm a little lucky that I have like a good bunch of I have a good support system that really pulls me out of that. Because at the end of the day, we're making movies, and which is like any other kind of business. But it yeah, my life could change every Friday. Yeah.
That's
So yeah,
I'm so
especially no also if you work in a studio and you have a film releasing every couple of weeks, it really moves too fast for you to be able to figure out to live through whatever the film is going through, whether it's a hit. You don't have time to spend on that, you're on to your next thing, or even if it's not a hit, then you're still on to the next thing. So um I think good support system is the best thing to have. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, especially like when you when people give in to failure, like even Sushant's thing, like you know, they we really want you to share what you to encourage, especially youngsters today. You know, the new generation that is coming in. How do they stay strong and committed? Like what is that internal life lesson advice that you would want to give them to overcome these failures?
So I think the first and foremost, the most important thing is to do what you enjoy doing. Try and have a career in something that you enjoy doing, so that it doesn't feel like work. Um, that I feel that's important at one level, and the other thing is that work shouldn't be everything.
Ah,
you know uh, it shouldn't be the be all and end all of everything. There's more to life than work. It's just that the human race is now, it's reached such a stage that if you don't work, then you just can't survive.
right.
uh, for some people, for sure.
Hmm.
um, but I feel that for the youngsters out there, I think they should study what they feel like studying, and they should find careers or jobs in what they enjoy doing. I know it's easier said than done. I can imagine people saying that there's not enough work out there, but try and juggle it. Even if even if in the beginning you can't find work that really appeals to you, maybe you could. I mean, I did this when I first went to Toronto, and I was studying over there, and I did not find work that was related to what I was doing. So I would end up volunteering for a lot of music videos that we were producing, or working on short features, or working on EPKs and stuff like that, just to stay close to what I enjoyed doing, and that could get converted into something else. Still, I had an epiphany, really, that what am I doing in Canada when I come from a country that makes the largest number of films in the world. And that's one of the reasons I came back, just to be able to do something over here in the field that I was interested in, because I just couldn't do that in Canada. So the idea is to, I think, for the youngsters to stay close to what they really feel like doing in some way that they can. And I think that would possibly help. That's possibly the, one piece of advice which I hope will be helpful.
Yeah, that's excellent advice to do like whatever you're enjoying, you're doing that, and then obviously not make work your be all and end all. I think that was also excellent in terms of
Yeah.
as a takeaway. And so what is the, you have backed so many women oriented films, you have backed women directors, but what I want to shed light on is also like, within the industry it is perceived that women directors don't necessarily make commercially successful films. So what do you feel is your take on that? And do you feel that women oriented films, of course there are 2 3 that have done really well, so but how do we push it is what I wanted to ask you.
How do we push it? Well, the industry is very at the end of the day, it's very gender agnostic. It's very, you know I'm hoping also race, caste, and religious agnostic. I think if a
Yeah.
film does well, whether it's made by a woman or has a woman in it, whether it's a kids film, whether it's a space film, whether it's a film with aliens, anything. If a film does well, people try and emulate that and make more films like that. So it just helps that, say for instance, if there is a woman director and she makes a successful film or a successful series or successful anything, the idea is to celebrate that. But I don't think it's necessary that, what should we do more uh, to push women oriented films. I think women should make whatever films they feel like making, or direct whatever films they feel like directing, or writing about anything. It doesn't have to be, I mean, a woman doesn't have to direct only a women oriented film. I mean, there are so many guys who are, directing women oriented films. So it's not really that. I think we just need to make sure that we have more women in the business, that we uh, celebrate more successes of women. um, yeah, I mean, that's so I mean, I don't I think maybe because I'm a woman, I don't feel that, I should be treated any differently, or women should be treated any differently.
Correct.
But at the same time, I feel that my contemporary women, or fellow directors and cinematographers and writers, um, should get together and possibly talk about how stuff can happen, but not to like you know uh, push anything. I think the idea is just to make successful films,
Correct.
irrespective of whether you're a guy or a girl. Yeah.
Nice. So what is the next film that you're planning?
I'm just developing right now. I have no idea what film to plan right now. Just developing, and hopefully some good stuff will come out once this pandemic is over.
Nice. So when you are choosing to, of course, this is applicable for everyone, but if you're choosing to hire a woman in your team, what is that quality that you look at, that this is, this is the people who possibly want to approach you and work with you? So what do you seek when you hire people? Like what kind of qualities do you possibly want?
Also, I really like people who read. They can be a guy or a girl, but they should love reading. I think that's like really important. I find that people just don't read enough, especially if you want to be in development or in
Correct.
creative. The thing is that you need to read more, and also because this is something that's lacking in me, because I'm not like I don't read like a lot of regional literature. I would really like to meet people or work with people who can read regional literature. I think that's what's really lacking sometimes in my storytelling also, and sometimes in the storytelling that we are doing in say mainstream cinema. Which is why, like, I mean, I remember when Sham Babu's writer Ashok Mishra came to narrate Welcome to Sajjanpur, right from, like, he just, from the first word to the last word was just like, it was an amazing script.
Correct.
And you know, he wrote it in his own language. He wrote it in, you know, whatever that dialect was, but it was such an amazing story. And I think I really liked it also because it came from the heart. It was so rooted. You know, you didn't have to go abroad to shoot a song and stuff like that. You were shooting it, you know, in a small village. The story was about a small village. So I think those kind of different uh, what do you call aspects, or different films that are not just like the typical ones. I think that is important, to have a different voice. That's true. I think a different voice is important. I mean, I feel these days that having a different kind of a voice is important, and I think we should celebrate that. Uh, which also links back to your question about women. If women have like a different voice, or in terms of storytelling, then I think that should definitely be celebrated. And I think that's how you can push cinema. That, you know, especially women, if they want to be pushed.
Correct.
They don't need to be pushed, but I feel like they want to be pushed.
No,
I don't think they need to be pushed. I think they need to be
that's
accepted. Yeah. They don't need to be pushed. They need to be accepted. I think your question should be to, like, the others say, asking, like, you know, when are you going to start accepting material from women? That should be the question. Yeah.
I'll do that. No, that's great. I think the fact that you look for readers and especially with regional literature, as if they've read that, and secondly, you said that if they have a refreshing voice, then you will definitely hire them in your team. That's wonderful for all the viewers out there who possibly want to join Rucha. So, and the other thing that I wanted to ask you is. For women filmmakers who are possibly coming out, and what do you think are the, I think you've answered that, but so it's like, what are the three must do's, I would say, but you just answered that, so
Yeah.
I think I'll put that in. So is there a favorite poem or song that you have that, you know, you seek solace in? And I would love to hear you say.
Oh my God. No, I don't sing. I'm a very bad singer. I cannot sing.
Okay, chalo,
But
recite
I'm
it.
so glad I answered this question for myself. I'm so glad I asked you what you were going to ask me, because this question, because there's lots of stuff. But last night I went back to hear this song. I'm cutting a video for this friend of mine. It's her birthday that's coming up, and I'm cutting this video. And I was looking for a song. And so I called up this other friend of mine, and I said, "Listen, what's Anuradha's like favorite song?" And she said, Baz Luhrmann's "Sunscreen." That is such an amazing song. I mean, it has all the advice that any guy or a girl can take from. So
Wonderful.
I cannot sing it, although
But
I
can you
mean
say
the
a
way
few
he sings
lines
it.
of it?
No, it's such an amazing song. In fact, you should hear it.
Hmm.
You should
I
play
will.
it. You should play it. You
Yeah,
should play it on your Insta Live thing. I don't know how you can play it, but
I, I'm
yeah.
not. I wouldn't know technically how to get on that song and play it. But no,
Yeah.
is there a line? There must be a couple of lines that possibly
The
work for
whole song is amazing. I'll tell you.
you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, you were asking about the youth. For the youth, enjoy the power and beauty of your youth. oh, never mind, you will not understand the power and beauty of your youth until they have faded. But trust me, in 20 years, you'll look back at photos of yourself and recall in a way you can't grasp now how much possibility lay before you and how fabulous you really looked. Then you're not as fat as you imagine. Don't worry about the future or worry. But know that worrying is as effective as trying to solve an algebra equation by chewing bubblegum. The real troubles in your life are apt to be things that never crossed your worried mind. That kind that blindside you at 4 p.m. on some idle Tuesday. Today's Tuesday.
Wow.
Do one thing every day that scares you. Sing. Don't be reckless with other people's hearts. Most important. Don't put up with people who are reckless with yours. Floss. Don't waste your time on jealousy. Sometimes you're ahead, sometimes you're behind. The race is long, and in the end, it's only with yourself. Remember the compliments you receive, forget the insults. If you succeed in doing this, tell me how. Keep your old love letters, throw away your old bank statements. So, I mean, the song goes on. It's like an
So
amazing,
beautiful.
it's an amazing song. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
You just
finally,
got a
just
lot of heart.
use sunscreen. Use sunscreen. That's like the most important thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you so much, Rucha, for introducing me to the song. I've not heard this.
You
Thank
haven't heard this song?
No, I
Oh
haven't
God.
heard
Okay,
this
go.
song.
Please hear it.
Yeah,
Please hear it. It's called
yeah.
Baz Luhrmann's Everybody's
Yeah.
Fine with Sunscreen.
Yeah, I will. As soon as I chat to you, I'm going to play it. So, that I'm so glad. It's a lovely. I love the line, especially that you said, throw your bank statements and keep your
Keep your old love
letters,
letters.
love letters. I think
I
that's
mean,
not.
अभी तो love letters नहीं होंगे क्योंकि अभी तो सब email ही करते हैं.
हाँ,
But
हाँ.
yeah,
Yeah,
sadly.
yeah. So, the last few words of advice that you would want to give to young girls out there who possibly are thinking of joining this field, and or people who are already in the field and are thinking about how to, struggling and trying to make it. So, yeah.
I think the most important thing is by hook or crook or by crook, finish your education. That's the most important thing. I mean, while you're in college or while you're in school, you think school is like a bitch, or you think education, maybe this kind of education or the kind of education we have is pretty useless. But I think it's still important to have to finish your education. So I'd really like to tell girls, all girls, really, just finish your education. It'll give you time to figure out what you want to do with your life. I know it's a pretty tough world like that, but somewhere studying and educating yourself about other people and other histories and literature and all of that just helps you in some way, dealing with your own life or tackling your own life. So I think that's possibly the main advice I can give you. Otherwise, also repeat everything that I had said earlier, which is do what you do. I mean, take a job that you enjoy doing. I mean, yeah, your career should be based in what you really enjoy doing, and it should not at the end of the day only be about money and all of that. I mean, that's the starting point. Honestly, like I said, my starting point was I just needed to be financially independent first.
Yeah.
But I decided to do it in a field that I really enjoyed studying or working in. So yeah, I hope that helps.
Yeah, it does. It's such a lovely, honest, beautiful chat that we've had, and I'm so
Thanks.
glad we did this.